Dear listeners, thank you for your incredible support in helping our channel grow. We're aiming for 1,000 subscribers, so please support us by subscribing and helping us reach this milestone. Now let's start the story. Present, Yinz, chasing the bus. I'm anxious as a bride on her wedding day because we are damn close to finding my runaway fiancé. I can't frickin' believe we were in the exact same fast food place together and I didn't recognize him. I know what's wrong with me. I'm still recovering from my near-death experiences when I was an annoying as hell teenager again. I still have to fight the urges to be teenager Jennifer. If I slip into teenager mode and I don't notice it, I slip right back into being a super brat. I remember those times I didn't resist and blush in shame for the way I acted. However, there is still one thing I've saved from those times which will be extremely useful when we finally find and capture my runaway fiancé. But it's a secret which I'm not telling anyone. Linus, my darling Linus, is just like the big brother I never had. He came and visited me in prison as often as he could and I've treated him very badly lately. I make up my mind and start. Linus, I need to apologize to you. I realize I've acted inappropriately. Please forgive me. He glances at me and replies, thanks Yinz for the apology. Yeah, you've been a little crazy lately. What's going on? I bite my lip and decide to try to tell him the truth since I need his help. Linus, I don't know if you will believe me or not, but what I'm telling you is the truth. When I almost died, I had a bunch of out-of-body experiences which changed me. The Yinz who came back from those incredible trips is a different Yinz. I don't know a better way to explain it other than to explain I am a teenager trapped in an adult's body. He doesn't reply immediately, and his silence is unsettling. Finally, he responds, present Linus, chasing the bus. Other than her squirming around in the passenger seat like she has ants in her pants, the old Yinz is back for now, and I'm thankful as hell for it. I really had no idea how to control the Yinz which I had been with. While normally I don't like touchy-feely crap, Yinz first apologizes to me, and then tells me about some out-of-body experiences and how she came back as a teenager from them. I'm interested as hell about what she experienced on the other side, because she doesn't realize I had one of those once myself. But that's fodder for future discussions. I reply, Yinz, that explains a lot to me. Are you still having issues with it? I glance at her and notice she bites her lip like she does when she doesn't really want to say something. But she finally confesses, yeah Linus, it's a constant struggle for me. But it's not as bad as when I first came back. I nod my head and ask, I bet you told me this because... She interrupts, yeah, I told you because I'm asking for your help to keep me from acting like a teenager. I laugh and tease, well, I could always spank your butt or ground you when you act up. She snaps right back, spoken like a real sailor since you guys always love your naval bases. You try to touch my naval base, and you'll be jerking off with your left hand. I chuckle as the old Yinz is back. The analogy isn't quite right, but it is funny as hell, so I add, then I guess that just leaves grounding. What shall it be? I know, no computer for a week. I glance over as she puts the back of her hand to her forehead and pantomimes dying. Linus, that would be a fate worse than my near-death experiences. Why don't we come up with a way for you to secretly let me know when I'm acting like a teenager? I nod my head and suggest a solution. Yeah, we need a code word. She giggles and chips right in. Yeah, a code word. I know, why don't we use Julia? I recognize the reason why she chose Julia, so I smile, chuckle and say, Yinz, I don't believe for a moment that you're going to be the runaway bride like Julia Roberts was in the movie. She giggles and continues the dialogue. Yeah, I think my runaway fiancé is going to find out all about shotgun weddings. She shocks me with her remark and I swerve a little and say, Yinz, don't tell me you two finally did and you're preggers. She whines her reply, Linus, that's a terrible thing to suggest. No, unfortunately we didn't, so I can't be preggers yet. Look, there's the bus. She's right. As we speed past the bus, Yinz presses herself against the car window, trying to see if Ben is on board. I interject, Yinz, you do know shotgun weddings usually happen under urgent circumstances? Yinz responds coldly, not in this case, Linus. I'm tired of chasing him all over the world. When I finally catch him, he's either going to marry me, or there's going to be trouble. Yikes. She sounds serious. I try to lighten the mood with a chuckle. Yeah, I've heard marriage can feel like a slow demise. So, I assume you two will settle down and start a family? Yinz ignores my comment, sniffles, and says, Linus, you just made a huge assumption. I wish more than anything that we could settle down and have a normal life, but unfortunately, we can't. I loudly react, Yinz, what the hell are you talking about? Why in the world can't you just settle down and raise kids? I thought that's what both of you wanted. She hangs her head and says, well, Linus, since my near-death experiences, the plans have changed. We sort of have a mission to do. I guess we're on a mission. I anticipate where she's going, so I interrupt. So, you're trying to tell me you're on a mission from God? Don't tell me. One of you is Jake and the other is Elwood. She smacks the back of my head and answers, Linus, shut up and let me finish. And no, we're not the frickin' Blues Brothers. Ben and I were made for each other. Now some higher power has a mission for us. The mission that we went on before Ben was captured was just a warm-up for the real thing. I can't keep my mouth shut and say in a voice dripping with sarcasm, yeah, Yince, I've heard that old cliché. We were made for each other a million times. That was a big mistake because now she is pissed off and shouts, Linus, stop being a hard-headed seal. Shut that runaway mouth of yours and listen. It's not a frickin' cliché, it's a frickin' fact. Haven't you always wondered why I've chased Ben so hard for all these years? I'm pissed and show it with my reply. I sure as hell have. Shit. He sure as hell doesn't deserve a woman like you. She again rebukes me. Linus, shut the hell up and listen. By the way, the next time you imply my runaway fiancé isn't good enough for me, I will kick your butt. I don't expect you to believe what I'm going to tell you. It doesn't even matter to me if you believe or not because I know the truth. We were made for each other because some higher power has this mission for us. The mission that we went on before Ben was captured was just a warm-up for the real thing. Son of a bitch. She's serious. I'm distracted as hell and look over at her. Her phone starts to ring as she yells, Linus, watch where the hell you're driving. I look back and, hell no. Present. Liz, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. I nervously glance at Bernie as Ira drives through the guarded gate. He sees the concern on my face, smiles at me and asks, Ira, you hid the girls and the gold in the Dushanbe government building? She simply states, yes, we have the advantage that people here do not question the things we do. Yes, all Tajikistan fears my twins and leaves them alone. However, I wonder how she and Mira are going to like the questioning waiting for them back in America. We drive around back and I ask, won't we need help to load the gold into the truck? Ira smiles at me and says, Ms. Morgan, that problem has already been resolved. I realize what she means when we stop. Present. Yasmin, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. I loved seeing my husband Ben on the television, remembering how he now must be a famous movie star, but I do not like the way I am being treated. Zarika is still not awake from our big fight, and without her I cannot understand the note the man with no tongue who cannot speak gave me. I sigh and regret hurting her because now I have to huddle in this stinky dark place, hold Zarika's head in my lap and wait for the Liz lady. Oh, how I wish Zarika was awake, because I am a little scared. Present. Ira, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. I pull up beside the waiting truck and order, if you need any of your gear, please transfer it to the waiting truck. Ms. Morgan replies, Ira, first I would like to see Ben's two girls. Ms. Morgan has become increasingly difficult, so I had anticipated her response and reply, of course, Ms. Morgan. However, I regret to inform you one of them has been slightly injured and is currently unconscious. Ms. Morgan gives me a concerned look and answers, Ira, I certainly hope she is not seriously injured. I inwardly smile and think how fortuitous the injury to Zarika is for Myra's and my plans. Present. Liz, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Bernie and I hump our gear bags to the back of the waiting truck. Mira and Ira certainly had this adventure all planned out. But I don't totally trust the twins right now, and I want to see Ben's two sisters. For all I know, they could be some stray street urchins the twins picked up. Ira greets a man with a familial hug. Then he stands guard as she opens the back of the truck for us. It's very dark inside, and it takes a moment for my eyes to adjust. Then I ask, Ira, where are the girls? Just then I see a head peek over the top of some boxes, so I pull out the picture and yes, it is one of the girls and she looks terrified. Ira replies, Ms. Morgan, that is Yasmin, the younger one. She is taking care of Zarika, the older one, who is still unconscious. Ira says a few words in Russian and the girl rushes towards me, gives me a big hug, and starts babbling in a mixture of languages. I realize how hard it is going to be to communicate with her, so I ask Ira, tell her I want to see the other one. Ira says a few words to her, so she grabs my hand and leads me towards the front of the truck. As we round the boxes, I see the older girl, fall to my knees beside her, and begin to stroke her head. Yasmin kneels on the other side of her and does likewise. I angrily demand, Ira, what happened to her? Ira quietly replies, Ms. Morgan, it was just a simple accident. She should wake up soon and then be fine. Now we must leave. Would you like to ride back here with the girls, or in the front while I drive? I can tell from her answer there is much more to this story than she is sharing, but she is right. We do need to leave. I look at Zarika and then at the terrified Yasmin, and I know what I must do. I say, I will ride back here with the girls. Bernie, you ride up front with Ira. Present. Ira, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Good. Things are proceeding as we planned. When Zarika was injured by Yasmin, we made sure that for part of her treatment she was administered a sedative which will keep her unconscious for another 10 hours. Plus, the injury and seeing Zarika activated Ms. Morgan's maternal instincts. By the time Zarika awakens, the bonding with Ms. Morgan should be complete. Bernie and I enter the cab of the truck and drive off to meet my sister and younger brother. Thinking about them does cause an emotional quiver in my heart, which I quickly force from my thoughts. Present, Liz, Zarika, and Yasmin, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Liz. As the truck starts to move, I look at the young girls in front of me and remember the things been shared about them. Before the scumsucker ran away from Jens. I can only shake my head. Yasmin says in a mixture of languages, Liz lady? What's wrong, Liz lady? I recognize the Russian and reply, which unleashes a flurry of Russian from Yasmin. Nothing. Yasmin. I had worried how I would communicate with the Liz lady, but she speaks Russian, so I start to tell her all about everything while making sure she knows I am Ben's #1 wife. She holds up her hand, and as I stop speaking and she says, I did not understand what you said. I speak Russian only a little bit, and I realize she has learned only a few phrases in Russian, so I sadly sit back and wish Ben was here. He understood me so well. I am frustrated, so I say one of the phrases I learned on American television, and the Liz lady laughs at me, so I sulk. Liz. Yasmin. Shocks the hell out of me when she says, well, screw me. In perfect English. I'm sure she learned it from American TV and doesn't even realize what she said. I make the mistake of laughing at her and now she's pouting. I slide over, give her a hug and say, Yasmin, I'm sorry I laughed at you, but you can't repeat all the phrases you hear on American TV. She snuggles up against me, says a bunch more things in Russian, which I don't understand, and then drifts off to sleep. Poor thing, she's exhausted. I look at Zarika laying on the blankets, feel Yasmin in my arms, and I wonder how the hell Jens is going to deal with both of them. I sure hope Jens kept up on her Russian because she's going to need it. I decide to give her a call to give her the good news. Present, Jens, chasing the bus. All hell breaks loose. Linus is distracted and starts heading off the road into the median, and my damn phone starts to ring. So I do the only thing I can think of. I grab the steering wheel and yank it hard to the right. We fly across both lanes of the road and slide into the rest stop. Present, Stacy, Anastasia, on the road. I feel the bus start to slow, wake up and realize I've been sleeping in Erast's lap. I look up, see he's scanning the bus and realize how safe he's made me feel. I haven't felt this safe since falling asleep in Grandmama's lap. I jump a little when Erast says, how did you sleep, Anastasia? I reply, Erast, how did you know I was awake? He continues watching, laughs and says, you stopped snoring. I quickly sit up and answer, Erast, I do not snore. He replies, as you wish, Anastasia. Then I look at his face, realize how tired he is and feel badly. I apologize, sorry, Erast. You should have awakened me and I would have watched for you. He shakes his head and states, no, Anastasia, that is my job. However, you might do me a favor at the rest stop. I put my hand on his and say, Erast, of course. What may I do for you? He answers, I am going to try to catch a few moments of sleep. Please bring me something to eat and drink from the rest stop. I worry and ask, do you think I will be okay by myself? He smiles, yes, Anastasia, you will. One more favor, if they have a cheap skateboard, please purchase it. Preferably the longest one you can find. I had no idea Erast knows how to skateboard because he looks a little old for things like that. I smile, kiss him on the cheek and say, sleep well, my brother, and I will be back right before the bus leaves. I make sure to watch the guy we are concerned about as I leave the bus and still wonder about the skateboard. But I'm distracted by a huge car accident, so I wander over to see what's happened. Present, Ben, Erast, on the road. I am finally alone on the bus. I quickly take my M4 out of the pack, assemble it, slam a mag home, jack around in the chamber, put it on safe, and hide it under the seat in front of us. Then I make sure all my other weapons are ready, move to the window seat, and slowly drift off to sleep. I sure hope they have a skateboard, because I think it will come in handy later. Present, Maria, Truth Network, Washington, D.C. We come up with a hell of a plan, and I can't wait until the bony bitches' twisted sisters get back. It's about time they get taken down a few notches, especially since I get to be involved. For once, I'm thankful the BSB is pretty much worthless in the combat arena, as it leaves more of the fun for me. Jack asks, so you are all sure about your assignments and roles? I snappily reply, sure as shootin', Gramps. He gives me a dirty look and Megan says, yes, Jack, we all understand. He smiles at us and explains, from the intel we have, Liz has the girls and they are headed to rendezvous with the plane, and then we'll come back to America. So we will spend tomorrow practicing and refining our plan. He is just getting ready to say more when the phone rings. He picks it up and gets a very serious look on his face. Present, Jack, Truth Network, Washington, D.C. I pick up the phone and hear a voice I haven't heard for many years. Captain M asks, "Greetings, Jack. How are you?" I would have laughed remembering how Ben's antics cost him a rank, but I can tell from his voice, this isn't a cordial call. I reply, "Captain, cut the crap. I can tell this isn't a social call." He laughs and says, "Yeah, Jack, you were always a hard one to fool, and then you had to go and teach that skill to Ben. By the way, you know I'm no longer a captain, don't you?" I grin since I am baiting him, so I answer, "Yeah, sorry about that. Old habits die hard. And I only taught Ben what I did for protection from you." He sighs, "Listen, Jack, I didn't call to argue with you. I called because I thought I should let you know that Ben's in danger." I interrupt and laugh. "Yeah, if Yince ever catches him, she's going to kill him." He yells into the phone, "Jack, that's not what the hell I'm talking about, so get your head out of your butt and listen to me. It seems that some old enemies of Ben's have crawled out of their worthless rat holes long enough to put out a contract on Ben for 5 mil. Shit. Not them and not again. That's serious money, and we'll have not just bounty hunters, but mercenaries looking for Ben." I reply, "Thanks for the news even though it's bad news. By the way, do you have any idea where the hell he is?" He laughs, "I have no idea where he is. I guess you trained him too well?" "Yeah, I guess I did." I have to ask, "Well, how about you sending some guys to help us?" He laughs, "Jack, you know after the way he burnt me last time, I can't do that. However, I will keep my ears open and let you know if I hear anything." The phone goes dead, and I ponder all just told me. I'd heard he went to work for some 3-letter branch of the government after his injuries in Iraq, and his phone call now confirms it. I feel better knowing he's helping, but this changes things and I need to get in touch with Yince. Present, Yince, rest stop. Thanks to me we avoid hitting the guardrail, but the car is out of control. We spin through the parking lot of the rest area and God must be with us because we miss everything and slide to a stop. I look over at Linus and he's shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. Shoot, I've almost had an accident myself. I just get ready to say something when the bus pulls in and my priorities shift. I yell, "Let's go get Ben," and jump out of the car. Present, Linus, rest stop. I think my whole life just flashed before my eyes. I thought we were goners, but Yince yanked the steering wheel. We spun through the parking lot of the rest area and somehow missed everything. I'm still trying to compose myself when Yince bails out of the car to go get Ben off the bus. Shit, she's going to need serious backup if she does find him. I bail out after her. She runs up to the bus, frantically looking at the passengers as they leave and being annoying as a teenager from hell. If they have on a cap, she yanks the cap off their head, then says, "Sorry about that. You're not the man I'm looking for." I watch as a couple smart cowboys saunter up to her. One is as skinny as a fence post, and the other looks like he ate the whole hog. The fat one says, "Well, excuse me, little missy. I'm sure I can help you out in the missing man department." And then he grabs his crotch. She blows him off by saying, "Get out of my face, fat frickin' goat roper." Skinny gets a big kick out of it, and about busts a gut laughing, which incites Fatty. I watch him bristle as he gets ready to take a swing at Yince. I walk up, slide my arm around her and say, "Julia, don't tell me these 2 cowboys are bothering you." Yince picks up on what I'm doing and says, "Present, Yince, rest stop. Damn it, Ben hasn't come of the bus yet, and some smelly fat goat roper is trying to pick me up, so I blow him off." Linus comes up, puts his arm around me and calls me Julia, and I understand exactly what he means and realize the fat goat roper is just about ready to try to kick my butt. I smile at Linus and reply, "Thanks, honey. Yeah, he did really bother me." Linus asks, "Well, you want to teach these boys some manners, or should I handle it for you?" I'm pretty pumped up from chasing my frickin' runaway fiancé, almost dying in a car wreck, and my teenage hormones are going crazy. I could stand to blow off some steam. I hand Linus my purse, grin and say, "Don't worry, honey. I can rope and hogtie these 2 with one hand tied behind my back." We square off, and I just get ready to see if I can shove Skinny up Fatty's, but when a big frickin' deputy walks up and says, "Is there a problem here?" I control my teenage angst, bat my eyes at him and say, "Deputy, am I happy to see you? These men are harassing us." The fat one made obscene motions towards me. He glares at the cowboys and says, "Clyde, you should know better than that. Now apologize to the lady." As Fatty takes off his hat, I have to fight back laughing at his bald head while he says, "Sorry, missy. We didn't know you was already spoken for." I want to have more fun, but Linus says, "That's okay, she was being pretty annoying." With the situation resolved, the deputy leaves. The cowboys turn and leave, but I just can't resist the urge. I bend over, pick up a rock and nail Fatty right in the back of the head with it. He lets out a yell, charges towards me, and hoo-hoo, the fight is on. Present. Linus. Rest stop. Shit. Yince just has to go and pick a fight with the two cowboys. As the deputy runs back, I motion for him to leave them alone, so he comes and stands beside me, and we watch Yince kick both their butts. The deputy says, "Damn, I don't think Clyde and Mo will be bothering any women anytime soon. She's a real wildcat. Where did she learn to fight?" I chuckle. "She's ex-Marine." He gives me a dirty look and says, "You mean she is a Marine?" I look at him. "You a Marine too?" He smiles. "Yeah. How about you?" I nod my head. "Navy SEAL." He's watching Yince and says, "I recognize her now. That's the old man's daughter, Jennifer Donaldson." I nod my head. "Yep, that's her." The fight is pretty much over. Clyde and Mo are lying in a pile as Yince walks over and says, "Now that was fun." She gets ready to say more when her phone rings. She answers the phone, gets a very concerned look on her face and says, "Linus, Ben's in danger. I hope to God he was on this bus." We run off, search the rest stop in the bus. Present. Yince, rest stop. Rats, double rats, and triple rats. My sneaky runaway fiancé wasn't on this bus. Where the heck did he go? For a moment I worry he might have flown off to Vegas to marry that lying little bitch. Linus understands my worry, looks at me and says, "Yince, Ben didn't fly off to Vegas and get married. He just took a different bus and we're going to find him. Now tell me why the hell Ben is in so much danger." I bite my lip and explain. "Linus, Jack called and said someone put out a contract on Ben for $5 million. He shakes his head and answers, "Damn, that's always an issue when snipers' identities get public." I was worried Ben was too much in the open. I look at him and say, "Linus, you need to help me think clearly and tactically here." He says, "Yince, we need to fall back and regroup. Because now this isn't only a mission to find Ben, it's also a mission to keep them from finding Ben." I realize what he said was right. As we head back to the car, my frickin' phone rings again. Present. Liz. In the back of the truck, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Yince finally picks up her phone and I say, "It's about time you answer your phone. I have some great news." I can tell something's wrong when Yince softly answers, "Sorry, Liz. I've been busy, but I sure could use some good news right now." Shit. Now what's wrong? I ask, "Yince, what the hell is going on?" She tells me all about still not finding Ben and how there's a contract out on him for $5 million, and I know she needs to hear something good. I interrupt, "Yince, the good news is I have Ben's adopted sisters and the gold, and we should be there early morning the day after tomorrow. I'm sure once we get the girls to do a commercial, Ben will come right back to you." She asks, "You think so?" I reply, "Yince, he promised them, and you know how Ben is about his promises." She sniffles, "But he promised me too, Liz." Shit. She's right, so I lie, "Yince, I don't think Ben will be able to resist the three of you combined." She sounds a little more upbeat when she says, "Thanks, Liz. I sure hope you're right." The phone goes dead, and I know I should have told her much more than I did, but she doesn't need to hear about those other things right now. Present. Tom. Rogue Mission. Washington, D.C. Rounds are flying around us like moths around a flame, but Hammer is running like a madman until... I've heard it said you never hear the round that kills you, but I certainly hear the last round. It makes a sickening thump as it hits Hammer. He crumples and falls to the ground, right on top of me. I roll him off me, grab his collar, scoot behind a dumpster while dragging him, and start trying to stop the bleeding. I know I should pick up the rifle and defend our position, but I can't let Hammer bleed to death. Shit. This isn't the way things were supposed to happen. This mission was supposed to be my swan song where I go out with grace. Now it's a big mess. I don't mind dying, but Hammer is much too young. I look up right into the big barrel of a gun. Present. Byron. Rescue Mission. Washington, D.C. Tom and Hammer aren't here, so that can only mean they've been captured. I look at Todd and Jim in order. Okay guys, Tom and Hammer must have been captured. I am changing the mission parameters. We are now authorized to shoot to kill, and if we can't extract Tom and Hammer, then they need to be eliminated. Todd and Jim, if that happens, your target is Hammer. I will take care of Tom myself. Now let's go and find them. I blink my eyes and Todd is already gone. Jim and I head down the alley, and I hope like hell I don't have to take out Tom. He's one of the few friends I have. Present. Todd. Rescue Mission. Washington, D.C. It's about time. Byron finally gives us the shoot-to-kill order. I know he didn't do this at first out of deference to Tom. Tom never liked taking a life unnecessarily. But these scumsuckers have our team members, and from the blood trail I found have probably wounded them, so they deserve to die. I slip my M4 into the scabbard on my pack and pull out my bow. It's much more effective and less noisy. Now to go hunting the most dangerous animal in the world. Present. Stacy. Anastasia. On the road. The accident was nothing. Some drunk driver ran into the back of a semi and wasn't even going that fast. I wander into the rest stop and while keeping an eye on the one guy, order myself a burger, some fries. I decide to watch this guy while Erast gets some sleep, so I have a big energy drink with my meal. Normally I like to take my time eating, but Erast is hungry so I wolf down my food, order some takeout food for him, buy a few more energy drinks for my pack, and feel very lucky to find this long skateboard. I still don't know what the heck Erast is going to do with a skateboard on a bus, but Grandmama always told me men do strange things. I have a hard time carrying everything back to the bus, and the bus driver gives me a dirty look when he sees the skateboard. I smile at him and lie, "It's a gift for my nephew. I sure hope you don't mind me keeping it inside where it won't get all scratched up." He surrenders. "I guess it's okay for now. Just make sure you put it somewhere so it doesn't roll down the aisle." I smile when I see Erast as he's sleeping so peacefully. It's a shame to wake him up. Present bin, Erast, on the road. I have this troubling dream about Ms. Donaldson almost dying in a car wreck and then getting in a fight, so I'm thankful when Anastasia wakes me up by shaking my shoulder. I open my eyes and she says, "Erast, here is your dinner. Eat it before it gets too cold." I look past her and see a perfect skateboard. I reach for it and she scolds, "Erast, you can look at that after you eat your dinner. Now eat up." I take a bite of burger and say, "Thank you, Anastasia." She scolds me again, "Erast, you know better than to talk with your mouth full of food." She is right, so I continue to eat as the bus pulls out and Anastasia tells me all about the car wreck and how she watched the man while she was in the rest stop. She took great delight in telling me everything he did, especially the part where he didn't have enough money to buy any food. That gives me a great idea. I take out my knife, cut my burger in two, and finish the half I've been eating. Then I divide up the fries and ask Anastasia, my sister, "It would be good if you took this food to that man." I certainly wasn't ready for her response. Present, Stacy, Anastasia, on the road. I cannot believe Erast wants to not only give half his food to that man, but he wants me to take it to him. I rebel, "Erast, I personally think you are quite crazy for asking me to do such an odious deed." Erast gives me a very sad and hurt look, stands up and says, "Fine, my spoiled sister. I will do it myself." I watch as he walks up, talks to the man, hands him the food, then sits beside him. The man turns and waves at me and I realize Erast was right. I did act like a spoiled brat. I get hopeful when Erast heads back towards me, but he just glares at me and says, "I need my flask and we'll be back soon." He takes the flask out of his pack and heads back up to sit by the man. Grandmama was certainly right. Men do strange things and my brother might be the strangest of all. I jealously watch them laugh and talk, and after what seems like days, Erast finally makes his way back to our seat. I quickly apologize, "Erast, I am very sorry." He shushes me by saying, "Anastasia, you must learn to keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. And with the little I did for him tonight, he will not watch us as closely as he did before." I impatiently ask, "Did you find out anything?" He smiles at me and answers, "Yes, Anastasia, just the fact that he did not have money enough to eat told me many things. He does have some sort of nefarious plans, but was much too experienced to let me know any of the details." I grump and state, "Perhaps you should just take care of him now." He laughs, "What if I am wrong? Then I will have hurt an innocent man. Besides, we need to know what his plans are." I don't like this at all, so I say, "Erast, you need to go back to sleep now and get some rest." He starts to argue with me and I say, "Listen, I had an energy drink and will be up for 5 hours. When it starts to wear off, I will wake you." He smiles at me and says, "As you wish, my bossy sister." I punch his arm, tuck him in and say, "No wonder why Mama had such gray hair." Flashback, Jack, last day of week 4 of Spook School. I remember the next day after what I like to call hamburger hell. It started off early with a real bang, then fizzled out during midday and ended like a hotter than hell exploding firecracker. I guess the talk the major had with Ben had some effect. He still did whatever the hell he wanted to do and dragged Mira and I along with him. But to my disappointment, he didn't tear anything up. So I spent the whole day in anticipation of Myra's new outfit that night, and I wasn't disappointed. But I sure as hell was surprised by Ben. Flashback, Charlie, day 5, her apartment. Even though I was out late last night, taking care of business, I set my alarm to wake me up early. I wanted some serious loving to quench the thunder down under Ben had aroused in me. He didn't know it, but leaving those soiled panties on my pillow was like slapping me across the face with a glove. He threw down the gauntlet, and it was up to me to pick it up. The alarm sounded. I flipped on the light, jumped out of bed, and headed to the spare bedroom. I didn't even turn on the lights and I just dove on the bed. Shit, he's gone. I landed on something which crinkled. I flipped on the light in curiosity. It was a note which read, "Thanks for the place to sleep, but you're too late." I made breakfast for you, and it's an oven. There's also a little thank you gift on the dresser. Enjoy your breakfast, and I will see you tonight. Ben. Well, he certainly was a polite guest. A gift already? I walked over and opened up the box. Inside was a whole pack of AA batteries and another note. I opened this note and got pissed off when it read, "For battery-operated boyfriend. The scumsucker did it to me again." I was one pissed-off bitch when I walked into the kitchen until I discovered he'd made a wonderful souffle. I took a bite and it was one of the best ever. How could I stay mad at him? I sat eating the wonderful souffle and came up with a great surprise of my own for Ben later tonight. Who can tell? He might just be grateful enough, so I will not need the batteries or BOB tonight. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Son of a bitch. Some scumsucker threw a flashbang in my room, flipped on the lights, and rudely woke me out of a hotter-than-hell dream about Mira. Then I heard Ben yell, "Get the hell up, sleepyhead. It's time for PT." I hollered back, "You're lucky I didn't shoot your butt." He laughed. "Like hell you could. I took the pistol from under your pillow first." I slipped my hand under my pillow and sure as shit, my pistol was gone. I looked over and Ben was holding it. I complained, "When and how the hell did you get so damn sneaky?" He continued laughing as he commented, "You should know. You're the one that taught me. You sure were sawing locks." Damn him. I hate when he's right. I did train him and I did sleep too soundly. I rolled out of bed to see he's in combat gear again today and jibe. With the pranks you pulled on the Major and Mira last night, it's wise you're wearing your combat gear. Messing up the Major's car and Myra's room was bad enough, but your damn prank went way overboard when you shot your rifle at us and then set off all the meat bombs in the field. They were ready to kill you, and once again, I had to save your butt from the result your practical jokes. I watched his surprise and then anger crossed his face. He paced the room and replied, "Jack, I would never fire towards Mira, and what the hell sort of meat bombs are you talking about?" Well, I confirmed my guess, and just like I figured, it wasn't Ben that fired at us, but I still wasn't sure about the rooms. So I described in detail what went on last night and watched as concern and anger rose on Ben's face. When I was finished, he said, "Shit, I'm getting really pissed off at people firing on my friends and the Major, and even more pissed that someone set the meat bombs for them. How did Mira take it?" I laughed and said, "She was ready to gut you with her practice katana until she found one of the meat bombs that didn't trip. Then she became really quiet, but still seemed very angry. Aren't you wondering how Major M took it?" He laughed. "Hell no. I know he was pissed since he's an officer, and they don't have any sense of humor." I laughed. Yep, I taught Ben well. I was now geared up and said, "Well, let's go get Mira." Flashback, Mira, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Last night was a Mongolian cluster training. My ninja outfit was ruined, which was a dreadful dishonor. My room was virtually destroyed and required many hours of cleaning before I could retire. Then my psyche played pranks on me all night long. Either my olfactory units pretended to sense the odor of vile meat, or my dreams were full of exploding meat bombs. I was so tired I didn't even notice when... Flashback, Ben, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Jack and I knocked on Myra's door, but there wasn't an answer. So I looked at Jack and double-checked. "Did you make sure she got back to her room last night?" He gave me a dirty look and replied, "Hell yes, I did. After all that went on last night, I wasn't going to let her walk here alone." Knock again. Maybe she didn't hear you. This wasn't like Mira, so I knocked again, but there still wasn't an answer. I became very concerned and ordered, "Jack, cover me." I waited until he was ready, then I unlocked Myra's door, opened it, flipped on the lights, and discovered she was still in bed. For a brief second, I thought about waking her like I woke Jack. But if what Jack told me was true, then Mira didn't need this shit. At least not today. I walked over to the bottom bunk, looked at how she had totally destroyed her bed, and knew she must have had a hell of a night. I bent over, shook her shoulder, and all hell broke loose. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. I was laughing my butt off. Ben finally got his butt kicked. When he shook Myra's shoulder, she exploded out of the bunk like a missile, taking Ben totally by surprise. With one perfectly placed punch, Ben was out like a light. Shit. She even nailed him a couple more times on his way to the floor. I wished I had a video camera because then I could have enjoyed his comeuppance over and over again. But the vision of a nude Mira, standing over a KO'd Ben, would stay with me for the rest of my life. Mira looked at me, blinked her eyes, and asked, "Sergeant Reynolds?" Then she looked at Ben on the floor, dropped to her knees beside him, and continued, "What is wrong with my boyfriend?" I was distracted by her nude body, still trying to remember if I had banged her or not. Then she realized she was nude, grabbed the sheet off the bunk, covered up, and repeated, "Sergeant Reynolds, what is wrong with my boyfriend?" With the show being over, I laughed and answered, "Well, Mira, it seems like you knocked him out when he went to wake you." She gave me a dirty look and commanded, "Sergeant Reynolds, this is not humorous. Leave my room immediately." Flashback bin, unconscious, day 5, week 1 of spook school. I hated school, well, maybe not so much school as all the kids in school. I had been picked on and singled out the whole time I was in school, so consequently school became the major annoyance in my life. Years later, I would figure out it wasn't totally me that caused my problems at school, since most of the problems I inherited were due to my scumsucker dad. When you're an a-hole in a small community, like he was in Leadville, people find ways to get even, and I became the community's whipping boy. But he wasn't totally to blame. My own rebellious attitude just added fuel to the fire. I remembered the days which lead up to me getting the most hated nickname I was ever given. It was even worse than half-breed. Kids can be so cruel to each other. Flashback bin, high school. With mom being gone and dad being a sick invalid, for once in my life I was semi-free. Oh, it took some time each day to cook, clean the house, and take care of dad, but it sure wasn't like before when I was dad's slave. Yes, I was almost my own man, and for once had some free time. I woke up early like always, jumped out of bed, got dressed, and headed outside to do PT. It was great doing PT because I wanted to do it, not because I had to do it. I liked the way it made me feel, strong and in control. A day without PT was like a day without sunshine, and living in Colorado, I was used to seeing the sun almost every day. I ran again today with my running partner, the female fox. She sure could run and motivated me to run an even greater distance than normal. I flew into the house after my run, and right away knew this was going to be a bad day for Dad. I could smell it. I walked into his room and he spat at me. "Where the hell have you been, little scumsucker? I've been calling for you for over an hour." I internally sighed and replied, "Sorry, sir, I was out doing my morning PT." He cackled evilly and said, "Well, since you weren't here, I couldn't make it to the shitter, so now that's your problem." Yes, it was my problem since I couldn't leave him there all day. I apologized. "Sorry, sir, that I didn't check on you first." I went over, easily picked him up, carried him into the bathroom, cleaned him up, and said, "You're taking a shower today." He complained, "You little shit, I don't need a shower." I ignored his complaint, set him in the shower chair, adjusted the water, turned on the shower, gave him a washcloth and soap, and said, "Do a good job or I will have to get out the scrub brush." He threatened, "You get out the scrub brush and I will take it away from you and beat you senseless with it." I looked him in the eyes and laughed, "Sir, you haven't been strong enough to beat me for years. So clean yourself up or I will get out the scrub brush." Yeah, Dad hated the scrub brush. Or at least he hated how hard I scrubbed him with it. I whistled a little fugue I had just learned on piano and transposed to guitar as I headed into his bedroom to change the sheets again. He yelled, "Shut the hell up with that damn whistling of yours. You're not a tea kettle." I ignored him and continued whistling as I changed his bed. Then I threw the sheets into the washer, started it up, and heard him yowl, "You son of a bitch. Did you flush the shitter again while I was in the shower?" Shoot, I forgot about that. I quickly turned off the washer and ran into the bathroom. He was pissed and barked, "I knew I should have beat some more sense into you when you were younger. It was that damn mother of yours. The bitch made me take it easy on you." I interrupted him, "If you say anything else bad about Mom today, you can sit in the shower all day because I'm not helping you out." He grinned evilly at me and said, "Well, at least you're finally starting to grow a pair. Now get me the hell out of here, little scumsucker." I dried him, helped to dress him, set him in his wheelchair, and said, "I need to wash the sheets, then I will start breakfast. Be in the kitchen in 20 minutes. I whistled the fugue as I ducked out of his room, just dodging the book he threw at me, and laughed when he yelled, "Damn kid's turned into a tea kettle." He whistles all the time. Yes, I did whistle all the time because for once my life was pretty good. I started the washer again and whipped up a breakfast of ham, eggs, hash browns, and coffee, then yelled, "Breakfast's on the table. Come and get it before I feed it to the foxes." He rolled into the kitchen with a threat. I should kill those foxes. Since I haven't been able to walk, the little scumsuckers have taken over the place. I stood in front of him and cautioned him, "I don't think you want to do that." He nervously glanced at me and said, "Get the hell out of my way. I'm hungry." We sat at the table. He grabbed his fork, started eating, and complained, "This food tastes like shit. What did you put in it?" I smiled at him as I ate and teased, "Mine tastes fine, sir." I couldn't wait to finish, clean up the dishes, and get out of the house. I was shocked when Dad spoke. "I'm getting a little low. You think you can pick up some on your way home from school?" I nodded my head and answered, "Yes, sir, but I will need some money and I should probably take the truck into town today too. Well, Wally will sell it to me, because he knows it's for you. They don't like it when I carry that on the bus." He glared at me, pulled out his wallet, handed me his ATM card, and said, "Take out 100, buy me a couple bottles, Bring me the receipt and all the change. I inwardly smiled. Any day I could take the truck instead of the bus was a good day for me. Breakfast was done. I cleaned up the dishes, put his sheets in the dryer and asked, "You want to go out on the porch today?" He grinned. "Yeah, I'd like that. But make sure you bring me one of my Colts for protection. Besides, I might be able to shoot one of those damn foxes you have hanging around here." Yeah, Dad liked sitting on the porch all day, drinking his rock-gut whiskey, waving one of his Colt revolvers around, and occasionally shooting at things. Not that he could hit anything anymore. And even if he did, it wouldn't have caused much damage. I'd replaced the real rounds in his Colt with glue stick rounds over a year ago when he'd almost shot me. He never realized what I had done, which was fine and much safer for me. I rolled him out onto the porch, made sure he was all set up for the day, handed him his Colt, and headed to the barn to get the truck. I threw my gear behind the truck seat, drove out into the front yard, rolled down the window and yelled, "I might be a little late getting home from school today because of shopping for you." He cackled, "If you're too late, I might have another gift waiting for you." I started whistling the fugue. Dad yelled, "You keep that up and I'm going to use this Colt to give you a new hole to whistle out of." I was shocked when he actually fired at me and was relieved when he missed the whole truck. I floored it and spun out of the driveway before he fired again. Driving to school was a rare and great honor. It gave me time to reflect on my love affair with Colorado, Leadville, the mountains, and of course my heroes of the 10th Mountain Division. When I grew up, I wanted to be just like the men of the 10th Mountain Division and had spent years practicing my mountaineering skills of cross-country skiing, mountain climbing, snowshoeing, rock climbing, and of course PT. I was going to join up and be the most fit person in boot camp. Shoot, I was already one of the most fit guys at school, which was why I ended up with my hated nickname. Because of all the rock climbing and pull-ups I'd done for almost my whole life, my arms were like steel cables and my grip was like a vice. I don't know how it started, but I do know how it ended. The guys in school started having handshaking contests. It was more like hand-squeezing contests. They would join hands like a handshake and then squeeze until one of them gave up. I pretty much stayed to myself, so I hadn't been involved in this contest of manhood yet, but that was going to change. Things were fine until lunchtime. I was sitting at a table, minding my own business when my old nemesis, Beverly, and her boyfriend Kevin sat at my table. I immediately tensed up because I knew this wasn't going to be good. With Beverly, it never was good. Kevin sized me up and said, "Beverly said you think you're the strongest guy in school?" I looked down at my plate and didn't say anything. Beverly teased, "What's wrong, half-breed, you forget how to speak English?" I looked up, glared at her and said, "No, I don't have anything to say." She gave me a mischievous look and answered, "I tell you what, half-breed, if you can beat my boyfriend Kevin in a hand-shaking contest, I will give you a kiss." I replied, "And what if I don't feel like beating your boyfriend?" Kevin threatened, "Then, me and my friends will beat the hell out of you after school." I felt like a fox caught in a leg trap and would have gladly chewed off my leg to escape, but I knew Kevin and his friends and I had been introduced several times in the past to their after-school meetings. I knew there was no escape. I reluctantly said, "Okay, let's get this over with." The three of us stood up. Kevin grabbed my hand before I was ready and squeezed the hell out of it. Beverly egged him on. "Make the half-breed cry like the baby he is, Kevin." It hurt like crazy. I was already mad at Beverly, so I don't know what happened. As I squeezed Kevin's hand with all my might, the bones snapped and sounded like firecrackers on the 4th of July. Kevin let out a yell and passed out on the floor. Beverly started screaming and beating on me and yelled, "What did you do to my boyfriend?" The teachers ran over and I was escorted to the principal's office. Our principal was known as Sternvern. He was a lethal combination of judge, jury, and executioner, and I think he really enjoyed it when students were brought before his kangaroo court. Rumor had it he received his teaching degree from the Marquis de Sade School of Teaching, because he was a sadistic son of a gun. Sternvern grinned at me. "So I hear you broke Kevin's hand today. You do know he's on the football team, don't you?" I hung my head. "Sorry, sir. It was an accident." He laughed. "You seem to have more accidents than any other boy in this school. I think these so-called accidents need to stop." I replied, "Yes, sir. You're right, they do need to stop." I knew what was coming. He toyed with me like a cat before it kills a mouse. "Well, I could suspend you from school, but we both know you hate school and it would be more of a holiday than a punishment. So I think I will give you a gentle reminder to never do something like this again. Assume the position." Yes, the position. I bent over, holding on to my ankles. You see, Sternvern had a Louisville Slugger baseball bat in his office, which was shaved down to about an inch thick at the business end and had 3 holes drilled into it. He was an expert at hitting one out of the park with it. He was also ahead of his time because it didn't matter whether it was boy or girl, young or old. We all knew what assume the position meant, and we all knew what was coming when he used the dreaded words, swinging for the fence. If you were smart, you learned to cry on the first or second hit, because he always stopped when you cried. Unfortunately, I must have taken some stupid pills that morning because I forgot to cry. I woke up that afternoon in the nurse's office. My butt felt like it was on fire. I asked the nurse, what happened? So glared at me and complained. It's about time you woke up. Now get out of my office and back to your class. I grabbed my books and headed to class. As I walked into the room, Beverly began whispering to the other girls. Class finished. I stopped by the restroom on my way to the next period, and one of the guys asked me, "Is it true?" I replied, "Is what true?" He laughed. "I heard Stern Vern broke the bat over you today. That's never happened before." I shook my head and answered, "I don't really remember what happened." He said, "Too bad. If it was true, you'd be a hero. By the way, you need to check out your locker." I headed out of the bathroom to check my locker and wondered what sort of evil thing they did to it this time. I saw the dreaded words on my locker. Someone had painted in red nail polish, which looked just like the shade Beverly was wearing, the words, "Chief Iron Palms." I heard a bunch of giggles behind me, turned and found Beverly and her evil entourage standing there. She said, "Girls meet Big Chief Iron Palms." Melissa asked, "How did he get that name?" Beverly replied, "Well, girls, since none of us will date him, the only dates he can get are the nightly dates with his right hand. That's how he got so strong." I blushed like crazy and Melissa said, "Look at him blush. It must be true." The girls all giggled. I tried to leave school, but Stern Vern caught me and ordered, "Get back to your class." I walked into the room to a chorus of snickers with a new and dreaded nickname, Chief Iron Palms. Flashback, bin, day 5, week 1 of spook school. I struggled because I couldn't breathe. Then I realized someone was kissing me. I opened my eyes and there was Mira crying and smiling at me. I asked what happened. She blubbered, "Honey, I am so very sorry. Please forgive me. I accidentally rendered you unconscious when you woke me." Then it all came back to me. Shit, Mira had knocked me out? Now that's a first. I haven't been knocked out since that time in high school with Stern Vern and the baseball bat. I smiled at her and said, "Mira, it's my fault, so don't worry about it." She jumped on me. I realized she was nude and she said, "No, it was my fault and I need to make it up to you. I think you should spank me and then train me." I fought like hell getting her off me, but it was like fighting with a bag full of angry snakes. I finally jumped up and said, "Mira, not right now. I have a hell of a headache." She didn't even try to cover herself, but gave me a mischievous grin and said, "I know many ways to help you forget about your headache." She then licked her lips. I looked at my watch. I had been out for less than 10 minutes and it had seemed like hours. I replied, "I'm going to wait outside while you get dressed. We are late for PT." She pouted and whined, "You are one that ruins sports." I turned to leave and she added, "Tell me, who was the Iron Palms you talked about when you were unconscious?" Shit. I lied to her with the first thing that came to mind. He was a famous ninja who had very hard hands. She answered, "It is very strange you conversed so frequently about him while you were unconscious. I think I will need to study his style." I opened the door, went into the hallway and Jack was there. He grinned at me like an insane clown. Flashback, Jack, day 5, week 1 of spook school. When Ben walked out of the room, I had to bite my tongue to keep from laughing. I could tell he was in no mood for my humor right then. However, I couldn't resist one little jab. "Damn, Ben, you're going to have a hell of a shiner." He glared at me and answered, "Are you telling me Mira gave me a black eye?" I nodded my head. "Yep, and it's going to be a doozy or my name isn't Jack Reynolds. Take a look for yourself." I handed him my signal mirror. As he moved around in the light, he said, "Shit, you're right." Mira walked out and questioned us. "Sergeant Reynolds is right about something?" Ben laughed. "Yes, Mira. It's hard to believe, but for once Jack is right. I am going to have a hell of a black eye." I had to bite my tongue again. Ben made another huge mistake because that comment really fired Mira up. She ran over to him and ordered, "Let me examine your face." He started fighting her and said, "Leave me alone. My face is fine." He should have known better. You never fight with any determined woman, let alone Mira, who was like determination squared. She did a leg sweep on him, and he fell on his back. Mira jumped on top of him and demanded, "Let me examine your face." She'd reach for his face, and he'd slap her hands away from his face. It was too comical to resist, and I started to laugh. Mira stopped, took one look at me and demanded, "Stinky Sergeant Reynolds, just what do you find so humorous?" I took 2 steps away from them and answered, "Nothing, Mira, nothing at all." Ben added fuel to Myra's growing fire when he said, "Jack thinks it's funny as hell you gave me a black eye. The scumsucker sold me out." I didn't wait to hear Myra's reply because it was time for me to move it or lose it. I sprinted towards the door. Flashback, Ben, day 5, week 1 of spook school. Jack took off towards the door with Mira hot on his tail. I guess he never learned. You screw with me. You screw with Mira. You laugh at me. You offend Mira. I followed after the two of them at a slow trot with no reason to get excited. Mira would catch him, make him pay, and then we could get on with PT. At least she was distracted and away from me. I reached up, touched my face, and damn, my eye was sore as hell. Mira really nailed me a good one. I walked through the door, and it was my turn to laugh. This was a new tactic. Mira had knocked Jack to the ground, was circling and nailed him with that damn practice katana of hers every time he tried to get up. I wondered which she was more dangerous with, the real katana or the practice katana. I decided if she really went after me, I'd rather have her use the real thing versus the slow death of the practice katana. I walked up and said, if you two lovers are finished with your spat, let's go for a little run. Mira stopped and quickly corrected me. Excuse me, Lance Corporal Blaine. You have made a mistake. You are my boyfriend, not Stinky Sergeant Reynolds. I laughed. At least I got your attention. Now fall in and let's run. She fell in beside me. Jack fell in behind us, and we took off for a run. I remarked, Mira, you treat your practice katana as if it's a real weapon. She looked over at me, grinned, and explained, apparently my boyfriend, you are not well versed in historic samurai. Have you not heard of the most famous swordsman Miyamoto Musashi? I shook my head and answered, I have no idea who Miyata Mitsubishi was. She corrected me and added, I said, Miyamoto Musashi. He fought many of his 60 duels with a stick, using it to beat other samurai to death. I joked, so he used a stick instead of a sword? Isn't that like bringing a knife to a gunfight? Mira replied, using a stick, as you call it, for a weapon can be very advantageous. First, when I pull my practice katana, I do not always have to draw blood before putting it away. Second, many times it works better blocking a katana than a real katana. Have you not noticed the many nicks in my practice katana? I responded, to be truthful, I never really looked at it. She handed it to me and said, please examine it for yourself. I looked at it and realized several things. First, it was very old. It showed many years of wear on it, and it had well over 100 nicks in the wood. I handed it back to Mira, looked at her with respect, and said, thank you, Mira. That katana is very old and has many nicks. Is every nick a battle you won? She smiled at me and answered, no, Lance Corporal Blaine, not every nick was a contest I won. Some are from the swordsman who owned this practice katana prior to me taking it away from him. But Miyamoto Musashi was also known for the introduction of two-sword fighting technique and was very adept at throwing his short sword. I laughed and then made my second mistake with Mira for that short day. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Mira must have a PhD in butt-cacology because that's what she spent most of her time doing. I'd hung back and watched Ben and Mira talking when she handed him that damn stick of hers. I had some hope that Ben was taking it away from her and was going to break it. I should have known he wasn't that smart. He handed it back to her, said something to her, and she was after him, beating him with the damn stick he had just handed to her. At least she was an equal opportunity ass-kicker. Then things got really interesting, so I ran up for a closer look. Flashback, Mira, Day 5, Week 1 of Spook School. Today was very unfortunate for Stinky Sergeant Reynolds and my boyfriend. I was very tired and cranky with the attitude of a female dog. Plus, I knew my boyfriend did not sleep in his room last night, and I was not convinced he didn't philander. Then my buffonic boyfriend joked by saying, that Mitsubishi guy would have made a hell of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. He did not realize that the honor of my clan demanded satisfaction. To compare our esteemed swordsman to a cartoon was a huge insult, so I began hitting him. They were just little love taps, with my practice katana. When my boyfriend picked up a stick off the ground, I became very excited. Now I could use his punishment also as instructional time. Lance Corporal Blaine waved the stick at me and complained, Mira, what the hell is wrong with you today? I danced in, feigned a blow to the left, lightly tapped his right shoulder, spun past him and spanked him hard on his derriere and said, Lance Corporal Blaine, it might be a joke for you to insult the most revered Miyamoto Musashi by comparing him to a cartoon, but it is serious business for me and my clan. He spun and whined. Mira, that hurt. I teased and instructed boyfriend. For one so adept at martial arts, you are woefully inept with weapons and fight like a child. You foolishly let yourself become distracted by the weapon and forget what your focus should be. Flashback, Ben, Day 5, Week 1 of Spook School. Son of a bitch. If Mira wasn't trying to beat the hell out of me with her practice katana, I would grab her and give her a kiss. She deserves it for what she just said. She's right. I do lose focus and look at the weapon, not the eyes or the chest. By the time I react to where the weapon moves, it's too late. So I changed my focus and started to block some of her blows. She grinned and said, So my boyfriend does listen to his girlfriend. I opened my mouth and made the third mistake of the day with Mira. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Oh my god. I couldn't stop laughing. Just when Ben started to block some of Myra's blows and she just finished saying, so my boyfriend does listen to his girlfriend. Ben smarted off when he replied, my girlfriend? Do you mean Charlie? Where is she? All the action stopped for a second. Then Mira let loose a yell and started beating the shit out of Ben. There was no way he was going to block those blows. She was swinging that stick like she was going to beat him to death with it. Ben yelled, Mira, I was just kidding. She screamed, Lance Corporal Blaine, I do not believe you now. I think you have been spending the night at her flat. I was just getting ready to help Ben out when... Flashback, Ben, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. I heard the round as it passed over us and yelled, Sniper, then tackled and fell on top of Mira. She fought me and said, Lance Corporal Blaine, get off me. I was going to keep her safe no matter what, but it was like trying to wrestle with a snake. I commanded, Mira, lie still or I will knock you out. She spat back, get off me. So I let Mira flip me over and get on top of me, then put her in the guillotine chokehold. She fought like hell and slowly drifted into unconsciousness. I yelled over, Jack, do you have eyes on the sniper? And didn't hear a reply. I looked over and realized Jack was unconscious. This bullshit was getting old. I pulled out my rifle, scanned the area, saw my target, ranged my target, dialed in the turrets, took aim, was just ready to fire when my target jumped up and ran over the top of the hill. That but sure looked familiar. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. When I hit the deck, I banged the hell out of my head and slowly woke up. Damn, my head hurt like hell. I yelled over, Ben, are you okay? He stood above me, grinned and replied, it's about time you woke up. I reached towards him as he grabbed my hand and pulled me up. I looked over and Mira was out. I asked, what happened to Mira? Ben gave me a guilty as hell look and said, she was fighting with me so I put her in a guillotine chokehold. I laughed, which made my head hurt, and said, damn Ben, she's going to kill you when she wakes up. He looked just like a little kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar and asked, Jack, do you think? I interrupted, hell no, I can't take care of her when she wakes up. You made this bed. You need to sleep in it. Then he did the most amazing thing. Flashback, Mira, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. I slowly came back into consciousness and my head pulsed like someone beat on it with a big bass drum. Then I angrily remembered my boyfriend put me in a chokehold and rendered me unconscious. I felt my practice katana already in my hands. As I opened my eyes, I was shocked to see my boyfriend kneeling beside me, and even more shocked to see his helmet and all his combat body armor was off. He smiled at me and apologized, Mira. I am sorry for the stupid things I said and for what I did. I am ready to take any punishment you feel is necessary. Then he bowed his head and waited. No man had ever trusted me so. How could I remain angry at such a man? I did the only honorable thing I could do. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. I couldn't believe it. I swear Ben could fall in shit and come out smelling like roses. He'd given Mira enough reasons today to gut him with that stick of hers, especially with the joke about Charlie, and even more so with Myra's bad mood today. Instead, she jumped on him like a pit bull on a chihuahua. It sure surprised me, but it astounded Ben as she was kissing and humping him like there was no tomorrow. Certainly like I wasn't there. And this time Ben even seemed to be getting in the mood. His hands were all over her butt. My jealousy got the best of me and I said, you two need to get a room. Mira looked at me and then asked Ben, sweetie, what does Sergeant Reynolds mean? Ben laughed and explained, Mira, he says he's embarrassed by the way we are acting. The scumsucker sold me out again. Mira sat up and started, is that true, Stinky? When Mira used Stinky, I knew better than to wait for anything else, so I was off running again. I knew it was futile, but unlike Ben, when I fell in shit I smelled like shit. However, this time I was surprised. Flashback, Mira, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. My ruse worked perfectly. Stinky Sergeant Reynolds assumed I was angry with him, and he ran away like a coward again, leaving me alone with my for once responsive boyfriend. I renewed my assault on him while my hands went after his belt and pants, but he fought me this time. Oh, how frustrated I was. But I was not to be denied this time. Flashback, Ben, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Mira was as serious as a heart attack today. When she surprised me, I accidentally responded and Jack's perfectly timed chide saved my butt. Then she scared him off, and now I was fighting like hell just to keep my clothes on. I complained, Mira, not here and not now. Mira replied, yes here and yes now. I'd get her hands off my pants and then she was after my shirt, Then I'd stop that assault, and she was after my pants again. I tried to roll over, but she had her legs wrapped around me. It felt like a python squeezing the life out of me. I was really worried that this time I wouldn't be able to stop her. She ordered, "Stop fighting me and train me, or you will get hurt." I threatened, "Mira, I will knock you out again." She slapped the hell out of me and said, "Shut up and train me." I never thought I would ever be happy for this to happen. But when? Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. I ran a short distance and was surprised because Mira hadn't chased me. I turned and saw she was wrestling with Ben, and for once it looked like she was winning. Ben's teasing had finally come home and was getting ready to bite him in the butt. Even though I was jealous, this was still going to be a hell of a show. I took a squat to watch the show and then dove to the dirt when 3 shots rang out and dusted the dirt around Mira and Ben. "Whoever that son of a bitch is, I'm getting damn tired of being shot at." I yelled, "Are you two okay?" And I watched as Mira took off up the hill towards the sounds of the shots, and Ben scrambled to get his gear back on. Ben replied, "Shit, Jack, I'm getting tired of this bullshit. Go back up, Mira, and I will be right behind you too. We've got to catch that scumsucker." I ran after Mira. Flashback, Ben, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. I set a record getting back into my gear and ran up the hill as fast as I could, especially when I heard many more shots ringing out. It sounded like World War III. After seeing the butt I did on the shots before last, I sure hoped they didn't shoot who I thought I recognized. That would be a mistake which I sure as hell didn't want to deal with. As I approached the top of the hill, I heard Myra's attempt at swearing, then a bunch more shots. I wondered what the hell was going on as I called out, "I'm coming in, so don't fire." Jack ran down to meet me and said, "Shit, Ben, I wouldn't go up there if I were you. Mira is pissed off and shooting at everything in sight." I tried to hide my worry when I asked, "Did you or she get our sniper?" He gave me a funny look and answered, "Hell no. Whoever it was, they could run like the wind." I do think Mira put the fear of God into them. I asked, "So what the hell is Mira shooting at?" Jack laughed. "She's shooting at the woods where the sniper disappeared." I decided I needed to put a stop to this, so I walked up the hill. As Mira sent a few more rounds into the woods, I ordered, "Mira, stop wasting ammo. Besides, you don't know if someone else is in that area, and you might hit them." She turned, gave me a determined look and said, "Lance Corporal Blaine, I am just making sure that sniper keeps running." "I will not." I interrupted her by taking her rifle away. "Mira, you can have this rifle back when you calm down. Now move your butt over and park it under that tree. I want to see if there is any evidence left." She griped, "Lance Corporal Blaine, some man who doesn't know his father keeps trying to kill you." I ordered, "Mira, move your butt. Sit down and shut the hell up." She muttered something about shooting there but off, and then hacking up what's left, and I wondered how ill-advised it was to have a trigger-happy girlfriend. Then I started looking around for any evidence which Mira hadn't trampled. This was easier said than done because Mira had stomped around the area, so much it looked like Hannibal's elephant herd stampeded through. Yes, the place was a mess with spent cases littered all around. I pulled the mag on Myra's rifle, and it had 1 round left. Damn, 29 rounds wasted. I sure hoped one of those wasn't a lucky shot. I finally separated the wheat from the chaff, bent down to pick up a case, looked at it closely, and smiled. Jack walked up and asked, "You find something?" I lied, "Oh, not really, Jack, just a 7.62 case. Give Mira her rifle back and tell her not to reload until she calms down. I don't want her accidentally shooting one of us." I looked at the case and immediately recognized the clue on it. I smiled, waved towards the woods, and threw the case into the bushes. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Ben has gotten better at lying, but while he might have gotten lucky as hell and fooled Mira, he sure as hell didn't fool me. He knows something, probably who was shooting at us. Yeah, it's damn good Myra's upset as hell, because if she figured this out, she'd beat the truth out of him. I gave Mira back her rifle and relayed. Ben said not to reload your rifle until he says okay. She gave me a dirty look, but for once obeyed. I lied. He's pretty pissed off right now, so I'd stay here until I smooth things over. I walked over to Ben and whispered, "I told Mira you're pissed, so you'd better begin acting that way. If she figures out you know who's been firing at us, she'll beat it out of you with that damn stick of hers." He gave me a concerned look, and I finally started playing the part. So I whispered, "Just who in the hell keeps firing at us?" He made me promise to never tell anyone, and I almost fell over when Ben told me it was. Flashback, Yints, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. I had some female friends entertaining, the lieutenant that Dad sent to watch me, and slipped away from school to see how my Ben was doing, and I was sure happy I did. There was this biatch who couldn't keep her hands off my Ben. Every time I turned around, she was trying to assault him. It made me so proud that he resisted all of her attacks. I was sure it was because he loved me. Oh, if only we had stayed at his place and went to his bedroom. That was a big mistake on my part. But not as big a mistake as the one I just made. Yes, my shots stopped Ben from being assaulted, but now that Biatch and Sergeant Reynolds were headed up the hill towards me. I grabbed my rifle and took off running as fast as I could. I knew the Biatch was fast, and I could only hope I could outrun them because I wasn't wearing any body armor. I barely escaped, but even then the psycho Biatch kept firing towards me. I hid behind a log, and some of the rounds hit the log in front of me. Finally, the firing stopped. I rose up and my heart did a backflip. There was my Ben, and he looked right towards me, waved and then threw something into the bushes. Oh, my Ben is so smart. He found my clue and knows it's me. Flashback, Ben, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Jack did save but because he was right. If Mira figured out what I knew, she's beat me to death, because there was no way in hell I was going to tell her anything. Jack gave me a hell of a look and asked, "You're telling me it's the old man's daughter? Have you lost your mind?" I continued my act and said, "Hell yes, it was her. There was a little heart on the spent case." Jack shook his head and said, "Shit, I thought it might be Charlie, but this is totally a surprise." I replied, "No shit, Sherlock. I thought the old man locked her up so tight I'd never see her again. You think you can keep Mira here while I head down the hill to look for her?" Jack glanced over at Mira and answered, "Ben, I don't think I'd do that right now. Otherwise Mira might chase you, and if Maria fired at her, you might lose both your girlfriends." I corrected, "Jack, Mira is not my girlfriend." He chuckled lowly. "You might not feel that way, but she sure as hell does. I would suggest we get the hell out of here and finish PT before Mira wants to go and hunt her down." That sounded like the best idea Jack had ever given me. I glanced at the woods one more time and waved. Then I turned and said, "Good job, Mira. I'm not sure I liked you wasting all that ammo, but I'm sure you chased off whoever was firing at us." Mira said, "I think we should go after them just to make sure." I lied, Mira. I would, but Major M made it clear we should complete our training here, and if we miss everything today, I'm sure he wouldn't be happy. She spat. "I think we should shoot Major M, and then go after the sniper just to make sure." I shook my head. "Mira, that would cause you to be expelled forever from this country, and Jack and I would end up in Leavenworth. Now let's get back to PT." We headed down the hill to finish our workout, and I really wondered if there was any benefit to having a trigger-happy girlfriend. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Somehow, and I'm still amazed, we all survived the rest of the day. Mira eventually simmered down. I think she got to vent her frustration by sending almost a full magazine of lead downrange. Ben kept things hidden from her, and also avoided a continuation of Myra's mounted attacks. But he sure kept looking at the hills. If he saw Maria again, he never let me know about it. As dinner time approached, Mira became even more flirty than normal. Finally, she said, "Lance Corporal Blaine, we must go back to the barracks so I can dress for dinner." Ben got a funny look on his face and said, "Shit, I forgot about dressing for dinner. Jack, can I?" I laughed. "No way in hell, Ben, am I going to let you wear my dress blues." Yes, for once Ben had messed up, and I was going to take advantage of it. I would be better dressed, and he would be in his stinky dirty gear. He continued, "Well, at least let me come to your room and shower." Mira grinned and offered, "Lance Corporal Blaine, we could save water and shower together." He backpedaled so fast I thought he was going to fall over. "No thanks, Mira. I never take showers with anyone." I couldn't believe it. Mira fell for that obvious lie. We trotted to the rooms and I was shocked again. Flashback, Ben, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. Well, I messed up. I forgot all about needing to dress for dinner, and all my gear was at Charlie's, and there wasn't enough time to go back and get my dress blues. Jack made it plain he sure wasn't going to loan me anything to wear. I sniffed my gear as we headed back to Jack's room, and well, I really needed to change because after all the rolling around in the dirt and exercise today, it stunk. We walked into Jack's room and froze. There was a big package on the floor. I looked at Jack and asked, "Were you expecting a delivery?" He was eyeing the package carefully and said, "No, I wasn't expecting anything." I commanded, "Well, Jack, I owe you one for today. Wait in the hallway while I take care of the package." He left the room as I walked over to the mystery box and examined it. The package was addressed to me. I smiled when I recognized the handwriting and called to Jack, "Hey, you can come on in. The package is fine." He walked in, still eyed the package and said, "I'm taking a shower first. You can have sloppy seconds." I waited until he was in the shower, opened the package, read the note on top, and smiled. Tonight was going to be great and I owed her big time. Flashback, Jack, Day 5. Week 1 of Spook School. I laughed because tonight I would be the one dressed for dinner, while Ben would be hidden in the shadows. I made a few minor adjustments to my dress blues, then I heard a knock on the door. It had to be Mira, and I couldn't wait to see her outfit tonight. Ben was taking his own sweet time in the bathroom, but that didn't matter because it was Mira I wanted to see. I opened the door and there she was. She was wearing a robin egg blue pullover shirt with black laces, a red bandana scarf around her neck with the knot on the right, a black mask over her eyes, a white cowboy hat, black cowgirl boots, black quick-draw holsters with real matching nickel-plated revolvers, and a robin egg blue very short poodle skirt. As she spun, the skirt flew up and teasingly showed her legs, and her long hair flew in the wind. I wasn't sure who the hell she was, but I was sure how hot she looked. She asked, "Sergeant Reynolds, how do you like my outfit?" I smiled at her and replied, "Mira, you look stunning, but who are you?" I heard a voice behind me, she Kimisabe. I turned and about drew my saber. Behind me was a spitting image of an American Indian, but it was really Ben. He was wearing buckskin pants and a buckskin shirt with long fringe, had a belt around his waist, and a quick-draw holster on his right hip with a knife on his left hip. He even had a wig and narrow headband. Suddenly I felt like the one not dressed correctly. Mira took one look at him, stomped her foot and said, "Lance Corporal Blaine, how did you know?" He laughed and said, "My name Tonto, not no Lance Corporal Blaine. How you this night, Kimisabe Lone Rangaret?" I laughed because with these two here I could almost hear the announcer say, "The daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Rangaret rides again." Flashback Mira, Day 5, Week 1 of Spook School. I was quite upset tonight. I was supposed to be the one with the nice costume, and somehow my boyfriend found out what I was going to wear, and he stole my moment from me. At least he was the comedic sidekick and I was the heroette. We headed into the hallway and I questioned, "Tonto, how did you know what to wear tonight?" He frustratingly answered, "What mean Kimisabe? This what Tonto wear every day." I knew someone had to tell him, but I had no idea who it was. I probed more. Perhaps Tonto would tell me which other people work for me that he knows. L.CPL Blaine replied, "Tonto only know you. All others die. That why you called Lone Rangaret." We were at the mess hall, walked in and the whole room became quiet. I was slightly sad it wasn't just for me. Oh well, I have a new costume for tomorrow night. Present, Stacy, Angelina, on the road. It's boring as all get out watching this man. He isn't doing anything except sleeping, which is what I should be doing right now. I look at Paolo and see that he sure is sleeping well. So well, I snuggle up against him and wish I hadn't drunk that energy drink as I am really wired. Almost to the point of being jittery. I let my mind have its way and wander. I look down at Paolo's legs, realize how fit he is, and am amazed when I start to have feelings. Well, not really feelings, more like horniness towards him. How long has it been since I've... Oick, do all sisters feel this way about their brothers, or am I just being perverted? I sort of push it out of my mind, start watching Mr. Revolting Badman again, but the feelings keep trying to creep back in. I'm shocked when my hand even slips down and strokes his leg. I quickly yank my hand away. I need to stop right now. Present, Yints, heading back to DC. I can't help but feel like I've failed again. Heading back to DC without my runaway fiancé is an epic failure. Damn. It seems I've spent my whole life chasing, losing, and failing Ben. I sit in the passenger seat and pout. Linus says, "Julia, you need to stop pouting like a teenager. With the danger to Ben, you don't have the freedom to waste time with silliness like pouting. We need your A-game if we're going to find Ben before they do." I look over at Linus and I can see his concern, so I ask, "Linus, you seem more concerned than I am about this." He glances at me and explains, "I made a couple phone calls. The first was to gather some more information. The second was to see if I could get us some help." I squirm in my seat and say, "All right, Linus, spill the beans." He says, "Well, the scumsuckers after Ben are responsible for one of the most reprehensible atrocities ever committed. But I couldn't find out why they are after him." I interrupt Linus, "I think I know which mission you're talking about. Ben was a huge hero, but..." I sniffed and continued, "He almost died. And I know why they are after him. We need to get back to Jack right away. Now what about the help we need?" He sadly shakes his head. "Yints, I couldn't get in touch with them, and in this case no news is extremely bad news." I can tell he's truly concerned for his friends, so I offer, "Linus, we would get back faster if I drove." He quickly responds, "Yints, I'm not sure we would get back if you drove." I retaliate, "Hey, who saved us from hitting the guardrail?" He gives me a dirty look and answers, "I do need to thank you for that. But next time you distract me and almost cause a wreck, you'd better not grab the steering wheel. Otherwise you're going to get a spanking." I taunt, "It would take more than a broken down old seal to spank my butt. You'd need your whole team." I realized too late what I said. Linus's friends are his team, and he can't get hold of them. Linus gets quiet and I silently scold myself. Another frickin' mistake. Present, Tom. Rogue mission, Washington, D.C. At first I thought the scumsuckers were just going to shoot both of us and it would be over. Then they got in a big fight and decided they wanted to hang us. It sure as hell didn't make any sense to me. The bad guys never just out and kill the good guys. They always have some sort of huge plan that backfires. To be truthful, I just wish they'd shoot me because I didn't like the thought of a slow death by hanging. They have a hell of a time carrying hammer, but make me hobble while one scumsucker helps to support me. One of the scumsuckers yells, "Hey, it's true." Another one asks, "What the hell are you talking about?" He replies, "Well, this half-dead scumsucker isn't wearing any panties under his dress." They all laugh and I decide to give them some shit. "You sick scumsuckers, stop playing with his junk." The guy holding me up suddenly falls to the ground. I wonder what the hell is going on, but all that I know is it hurts like hell when I fall on top of him. Present, Todd. Rescue mission, Washington, D.C. Well, one down and many to go. They are making enough noise to wake the dead. Well, other than the dead scumsucker I just shot. So with that and the blood trail, they are easy to follow. I still haven't figured out what they are planning to do with Tom and Hammer, but whatever it is, they aren't going to do it anymore. I knock another arrow in here. Present, Byron. Rescue mission, Washington, D.C. We work our way around in front of the sons of a bitches holding Tom and Hammer. I see Todd take out the one holding up Tom, and I come up with an idea. I can only hope Todd figures out what I am doing. I step out in front of them and say, "You scumsuckers have 2 seconds to drop our men or you will die." The one in front confronts me. "Just what the hell are you going to do to us? There's 10 of us and 1 of you?" I say, "One of you is already dead. Now it's your turn." I point at him and he falls. Yes, Todd figured out my plan. They are confused and don't know what to do, and Jim picks the perfect time to toss a flashbang into the group. Then all hell breaks loose. Present, Jim. Rescue mission, Washington, D.C. Damn amateurs. I toss a flashbang into the group. As it goes off, they are deaf and blind and start firing everywhere. Byron hits the deck and I duck back behind the corner. When the smoke all clears, I stick my head around the corner. Shit, we sure didn't plan on this. All the scumsuckers are down, but so is Byron. I yell, "Todd, Byron's down." I rush to Byron's side and assess his wounds. Where the hell is Todd? Am I the only one left standing? Present, Liz. On the road, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. We've been driving for hours and my arm has fallen asleep from holding Yasmin, so I slowly slip away from holding the sleeping Yasmin and examine Zarika. It doesn't seem right to me that she's still unconscious. I can almost sense the twins at work in this and wonder what part this plays in their plans. I grab a bottle of water, get ready to take a drink, then remember what Bernie told me and decided I'd rather be thirsty than drink any of the twins' water. I scold myself. How did I ever let things get so messed up? I know I stopped relying on myself and trusted the twins, because they made it so easy and they took care of everything. The only problem was that as they were taking care of things, they were also twisting things to follow their own agenda. They have quite the web of deception going. So Mira knew Ben and Jack ages ago, and she was in love with Ben then. Could she still be in love with Ben? Could that be the motivation? I can certainly understand that motivation because I'm still in love with him. But anyone who knows Ben and Yinz can see that Ben loves her and only her. But if he only loves her, then why the hell did he leave her? Finally, I figure it out. The rat scumsucker. I'm going to kick him in the balls. When Ben took off on Yinz, Mira saw an opening to move in. I guess I can't blame her. I've had those thoughts several times, but I sure as hell didn't decide to act on them. Yes, Ben needs not only his butt kicked, but everything else kicked because this entire thing is his fault. First he gets involved with Mira. Lord only knows how long ago. Then he plays with Yin's emotions. Forever. He gets these 2 girls to love him, but teasingly calls them his sisters. Then the final straw. When things are finally going right, he flips out and takes off on Yinz. I bet the rat scumsucker enjoys this. His own little harem of women, all of whom love him. I really need to talk to someone about this, so I call Megan. Present, Megan. Truth Network, Washington, D.C. My phone wakes me out of a great dream, but I'm used to it since in my profession I get calls at any hour of the night. I yawn and say, "This is Megan." Liz answers, "Megan, I really need someone to talk to." I sit up in bed, pull the blankets around me and ask, "Is this girl talk or is this professional?" She pauses just a bit too long and questions, "Can it be a little of both?" I chuckle and say, "Sure, Liz, what's going on?" She replies, "I'm sure you know the twins have been sedating me. Because of that, I don't fully trust my intuition right now. I'm trying to wrap my head around all that's going on. I think I've come to the conclusion that Ben has created all the problems. I secretly smile, hug my pillow to me and probe. Liz, tell me why you feel that way. She goes on to explain her logic to me. I have to hide my excitement as I answer, Liz, I would say you hit the nail on the head. While there are some extenuating circumstances, Ben's unwise and uncaring decisions and actions have precipitated and exacerbated the current situation. Have you made any decisions about what you are planning on doing? Liz spits back, well, Megan, I can't tell you I'm ready to kick his but so hard his grandchildren. If the scumsucker can have grandchildren, we'll be born without colons. I laugh, a bit too quickly and say, Liz, I think that feeling is normal. Everyone I know is talking about kicking his butt. Liz responds, damn it, Megan. I think I woke up one of the girls. I'll talk to you later. This conversation has made me incredibly happy. I hug my pillow tight and slowly slip back into my dreams. Present, Zarika, Yasmin, and Liz, on the road, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Zarika. Someone's loud voice wakes me, and for once it's not Yasmin's braying. From the noises around me, I think I am in a truck again. I remember Ben's teachings, so I slowly slip open one eye to have a look at where I am. Yes, I am in the back of a truck, and there is an unfamiliar lady sitting on the floor about 5 meters from me. My worst fears have been realized. We have been captured. I jump up and yell, who are you, and where are you taking us, bitch? She is on the phone but quickly drops the call and replies in English, which I cannot understand. I prepare to attack because promised myself I would never be a prisoner again. Yasmin, the annoying, wakes up and says, Zarika, you are finally awake. I yell at her, and you have been sleeping while we have been captured. It is always up to me to save us. The strange lady says some more words which I cannot understand. As I start moving towards her, she moves away and Yasmin steps between us. I complain. I knew it. You have become a traitor and made a deal with our captors. Yasmin. Zarika wakes up in a very crazy mood. She thinks we are captured and does not realize we are headed towards America, and this is the Liz lady which my darling husband has sent for me. At first I was going to let Zarika attack her, hoping that the Liz lady would think Zarika is crazy and needed to go away. But then I worry the Liz lady might decide to leave both of us beside the road. As Zarika moves to attack, I step in front of the Liz lady and respond, Zarika, I am not a traitor and we are not captured. This is the Liz lady and we are in the back of a truck headed to an airplane to fly to America and be with my husband. Zarika blinks her eyes and demands, if you are lying to me, I will kill you. Swear on your mama this is not some lie of yours. I pause for a moment, just to annoy Zarika, and finally answer Zarika, I swear on mama what I told you is true. We are headed to America, and this is the Liz lady. Liz. Well, I got too loud on my phone conversation with Megan and woke up the older girl, Zarika. At first I was happy because she is finally awake, but then I became very concerned because she acted like a wild child and looked ready to attack me. She yelled at me in Russian which woke Yasmin, and then they had a huge conversation, and then Zarika surprises the hell out of me. Zarika. I am so happy to finally know our terrible ordeal will be over. I run to the Liz lady, knocking Yasmin the annoying out of the way and hug her tight. Then I say, I am sorry about being so bad. I thought we had been captured. Thank you for coming to take us to my husband. Yasmin interrupts my hug by braying, Zarika. The Liz lady speaks very little Russian. She just knows a few phrases. And you keep forgetting Ben is my husband. I pull away, stare at her and remember. Yasmin the annoying. You are the one who attacked me and knocked me out. Yasmin laughs. Yes, I was Zarika the zit-faced, and now since I have shown you your place, I have taken my rightful place as Ben's first wife. This I cannot accept, so I jump to attack Yasmin the sucka. Liz. Ben's girls don't know I understand more Russian than I let on. As they start arguing, I hear from each of them, which means first wife. These two little shit, now they've got me thinking in Russian. These two little bitches think, or might actually be Ben's wives. Just how bad did Ben screw things up? I need to talk to Ira and figure this shit out. Yasmin says something, which from the tone of her voice had to be an insult, and Zarika goes after her, and the kitten fight is on. And having been in a few cat fights myself, I know that I'd rather fight 100 men versus 1 woman, because even girls fight dirty. The kitten fight quickly escalates into an all-out cat fight, and I need to stop it before one of them gets hurt. Then I have some serious talking to do with Ira, and after that I'd better call Yentz and warn her about these two. I step in between them and Yasmin. Zarika and I are fighting about which one of us is Ben's first wife. When I kicked her, earlier I took my rightful place as Ben's first wife, and I am going to defend that even if I die. The Liz lady didn't know what we were fighting about, so she foolishly tried to stop the fight. I accidentally hit her from one side and ugly zit face hit her from the other side. The Liz lady falls to the floor. But I look at Zurika and yell, "This is all your fault." Zitface yells, "You hit her first." But this is not the time to argue. We need to get help for the Liz lady. Is one of the nice women here? I nod my head and say, "Yes, I think she is driving the truck." I run to the front of the truck and start banging and yelling. Zitface even joins me. Present. AITA. On the road, Dushanbe, Tajikistan. There is a cacophony of dissonance from the posterior of the truck. It startles Bernie, and he jumps. I secretly smile because I have anticipated it. Zurika has awakened, and when the sedative I utilized wore off, the time-delayed amphetamine countered its symptoms and stimulated Zurika. Those two girls are marginally stable as it is, and with the upper injected into Zurika, I am sure they had a fight. I say to Bernie, "We better see what issues have occurred." He replies, "Please, it sounds like someone is being killed." I acquire the side of the road. We extricate from the cab and head to the posterior of the truck. I secretly desire one of the girls to be unconscious for the continued efficacy of my plan. We raise the door and observe both girls are conscious and are simultaneously shouting. The noise they make reminds me of a pair of perturbed parrots pettifogging in a palm tree. I cannot understand or tolerate either of them, so I order, "Both of you shut up." They stop, look at each other, and then resume shouting. I leap into the back of the truck, grab them both by the nape of the neck and command, "The next one who speaks, I will render unconscious." I observe the rather wild appearance of Zurika's eyes, so I ask Yasmin, "Yasmin, please inform me what has occurred to Ms. Morgan." She grabs my hand and pulls me towards an unconscious Ms. Morgan while explaining how it is Zurika's and her fault. I could not have wished for a better scenario and fight to control my mirth. Bernie joins me and asks, "Ira, what happened to Liz?" I explain. The girls were fighting and Ms. Morgan unwisely stepped between them. They both accidentally struck her. I assess her damages and expound additional information. It looks like she will have a bruise on her face and might be unconscious for a period of time. I do not like the look Bernie gives me and ask, "Will you please give me a bottle of water?" He replies, "Sure, let me run up to the front of the truck and get the bottle Liz already has opened." Aha. That tells me Bernie and Liz have ascertained we have been adulterating the food and drink. Now we will need to curtail that. I order the girls, "Please step outside of the truck. You are obstructing my light." With Bernie and the girls indisposed, I inject Ms. Morgan with the same sedative used on Zurika, making sure to hide the injection mark within her hairline. Bernie comes back, gives me a foul look, hands me the water bottle and asks, "Is she going to be okay?" I answer, "Yes, she will be fine, but will probably be sore when she wakes up. Would you like to ride back here with her?" He nods his head and affirms, "Yes, I think I'd better, just to make sure she's safe from those two." I respond, "I will talk with them, and they will not be foolish girls again. You and Ms. Morgan will be safe." Bernie takes my place beside Ms. Morgan as I head to the posterior of the truck, jump down to the ground, and begin to close the door. The girls start their infernal wailing. Finally, Zurika says, "Nice lady, what are you doing?" I glare at both of them and respond, "I warned both of you. Now you have injured Ms. Morgan, so you will be left here on the side of the road." They both begin to cry, and Yasmin pleads, "Please, nice lady, we promise we will both be good again." Zurika adds, "Yes, we will not fight ever again." I am too intuitive to believe such a falsehood, but they must not fight until we are safely in America. So I simply threaten, "Should either of you fight again on this trip, you will be left by the side of the road. And if you fight on the airplane, I will throw you out of the door. Do you both understand?" They both nod their heads and promise, so I relent and say, "Good, you may now travel in the back of the truck with Bernie and Ms. Morgan." They eagerly swarm into the back of the truck like bees headed to a nest. I yell, "Bernie, the girls have promised to behave. Should they become a problem, just bang on the anterior part of the truck, and I will deal with them." He answers, "Thanks, Ira." I close the door, re-enter the cab of the truck, drive off, and call my sister to inform her of the good news. Present, Mira, waiting for Ira and the others. I am having an extremely joyous time connecting with my brother Alexei. It is such a gift which Ms. Morgan has given us. I even feel a slight twinge of guilt about our plans. But then I remember Mr. Blaine and my feelings for him, and all the guilt is magically replaced with a strong desire to bear his children. Oh, if only the then Lance Corporal Blaine had trained me, the combination of our two genetic lines would have produced a superior son. But now, he has been rendered sterile so that dream will never appear. However, that does not mean that I cannot live joyfully as his wife. Alexei inquires, "Mira, my sister, you seem deep in thought and have a distant look in your eyes." I hug him and reply, "I am sorry, Alexei, I was just dreaming about the past." He intelligently answers, "My sister, You cannot live your life in the past and ignore the present. I tousle his hair and query, when did you become such a philosopher? He starts to answer and is interrupted when my phone rings. I look and it is our sister, so I say, Alexei, it is our sister Ira. I must answer this. Ira and I discuss things in our own language, while Alexei keenly observes me. The news Ira gives me is better than we hoped for. I disconnect the phone conversation and smile at Alexei as he observes, Mira, my sister, I did not recognize that language. I giggle and respond, yes, Alexei, that is a special language Ira and I created when we were girls. At first, Mama and Papa thought we spoke gibberish to each other. But your Mama and Papa were extremely educated and intelligent. So soon they recognized we spoke a language to each other, and then they encouraged us to develop it further. Alexei inquires, my sister, is your conversation with my sister Ira private? I hug him, kiss him on the cheek, and inform Alexei of all the good news. Present Ben, Paolo, on the road. My sister Angelina is sleeping, so I leave her to go and sit beside our person of interest. When I saw him board the bus, he looked to be Latino, so I figured it would be better if we took our Brazilian personas. He of course asked why Angelina was so white. He laughed when I told him how Mama was white and I was the lucky one that got the brown skin. I know Angelina vehemently opposes my tactics, but she doesn't understand the value of keeping your enemies close. I have shared my food and drink with him at each rest stop, and now Manuel considers me a friend. He is still put off by the way Angelina treats him, but I tell him it's because Mama and Papa spoiled her after Papa became rich. I noticed how his eyes sparkled when I mentioned that lie. And he wasn't smart enough to ask why rich people are traveling on the bus. He is smart enough not to give me any information about his plans. But the more we talk, the more I am sure something wicked is coming. I excuse myself, wander back to our seat, and get the stink eye from a now awake Angelina. She scolds me, Paolo, how can you associate with that idiota? I chuckle at her use of Portuguese and tease. Manuel agora consider me o seu amigo, e pergunto se ele pode casar-se com você. Manuel now considers me his friend and has asked if he can marry you. I know she doesn't speak much Portuguese, however she is very good at languages. After thinking for a bit, she is able to figure out what I said. She punches me in the arm and says, Paolo, I would rather marry a Vibora than marry that asno. Viper. I hush her. Angelina, don't speak so loudly when you call him a jackass. He'll hear you. She huffs. I don't care. I'm tired of this bus, and I'm tired of waiting. Do me a favor and get rid of him at the next rest stop. I grip her shoulders, look her in the eye, and say, Angelina, you should be called Diabo Femenino. Get some rest and stop this nonsense, or I'll leave you at the next stop. She moves to the far side of the seat and pouts. Present, Stacy, Angelina, on the road. Oh, I hate it when Paolo scolds me, especially when he is right. I have and do trust him with my life. But like Grandmama said, men do mysterious things. I cannot grasp the concept of staying close to an enemy since my natural inclination is to run away from danger and, hey, that gives me a great idea. I scoot back close to Paolo, hug his arm and say, Paolo, why don't we stay at the next rest stop and wait for the next bus? He looks at me and grins, Angelina. It is fate that we met. Look at the many times I have already saved you. It is also fate that we are on this bus, and it is not wise to tempt fate. I am sure Manuel has terrible plans for this bus, and we are here to stop those plans. I still hate it when he is right. I slide back over in the seat and drift off to a troubled sleep, hoping to dream when I will be off this bus. Present, Yints, The Truth Network, Washington, D.C. I fight my teenage angst all the way back to D.C., and once we arrive, I fly into our command center and discover it's empty. Linus walks in behind me, and I loudly complain. Where the heck is everyone? He laughs, Yints. You do know it's the middle of the night, don't you? I look at the clock, realize the time, and question. So they can't work during the frickin' night? Linus grabs my hand and states, no, Yints, they are sleeping just like we're going to be in about a half an hour. I gripe and complain. Then why the heck did we come here? He replies, I wanted to get a special laptop. He has my interest as I watch him open his safe and pull out a laptop I've never seen before. I query, so what's so special about that laptop? He grins at me and answers, Yints, that's on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know. That frustrates me, so I spout, Linus, you and all men are like a new gun. He gives me a puzzled look and replies, okay, and why are men like a new gun? I laugh, because sooner or later you're going to want to shoot both of them. Present, Linus, The Truth Network, Washington, D.C. If Yints hadn't been showing a predilection for shooting Ben, I would have laughed at that joke. But I'm not so sure she isn't serious. I guess in a way I don't blame her. Ben's jerked her around a million ways to Sunday, the scumsucker. However, shooting him seems a bit extreme to me. now kicking his butt. You bet that's going to happen. I ignore the joke and say, let's head to the extended stay hotel and catch some ZZZZs. We need to be fresh for tomorrow morning. Jens starts her teenage bitching, which I cut it short by saying, Julia, cut the crap and listen to me. Like I said before, we need your game tomorrow, and if you don't get some sleep, that's not going to happen. Plus, you need to give the team a briefing on the information you have about the scumsuckers that placed the contract on Ben. Well, that fires her up, those frackin' jackin' scumsuckers. If anyone shoots my runaway fiancé, it's going to be me. Then she laughs and continues, I wonder. If I shot him, would I be eligible to claim the reward? 5 million could buy some nice new guns? Damn, there goes her predilection again. I interject, I think it's only dead, not dead or alive. She grins. Well, a girl is allowed to dream, isn't she? I grab her hand and herd her towards the door as I say, Jens, you do better dreaming about your wedding with Ben. She laughs, oh yeah, the shotgun wedding. There are times. No, there are many times that trying to reason with a woman is like talking to a brick wall. And that's even worse with a teenager trapped in a woman's body. I keep my mouth shut as we head outside to the car and drive to the hotel. Present Mira at the plane. Alexei and I step out of the airplane and wave at our sister in the truck as it drives up. Once again, I almost feel complete. I say almost because there is always a part of me that longs to be with Mr. Blaine. I know Ira feels it, but she is kind enough, most of the time, not to make it an issue. The truck stops, we run over. Ira steps out and we give her a big hug. I get ready to ask her how she is when we hear a cacophony of noise from the back of the truck. I glance quizzically at Ira, and she answers in our special language. That must be Bernie and the two girls. I question, and not Ms. Morgan? Ira laughs. It is so good to hear her laugh again and says, no, Ms. Morgan should still be under the influence of the sedative. We walk to the posterior of the truck. Ira opens the door and I see the two frightened girls and Bernie, carrying Liz. I bite my tongue to keep from giggling and ask, what did you say to Yasmin and Zarika? They look terrified. Bernie interrupts, I think something is seriously wrong with Liz. She's still unconscious. Ira responds, Bernie, take her to the plane and Mira will look at her. We need to move the cargo into the plane. Ira gives me a knowing look and I understand I have to administer a partial antidote, just enough so Ms. Morgan will be semi-conscious but not coherent. Leaving this delicate operation to me fills me with a pride and deeper love for my sister. Yes, each of us has our specialties and this one is mine. Bernie interjects, I want to watch as Mira examines Liz. I give Ira a look and she comprehends. Even with Bernie observing, I will be able to administer the antidote in the proper dose. I smile at Bernie and answer, I think it would be good if you observe, that way I can give you an accurate diagnosis of her condition. Shall we take her to the plane? After the examination, and if you agree, I will leave our brother Alexei to watch over Ms. Morgan while we move the gold. Bernie seems shocked by my acceptance and says, yeah, that all sounds good to me. As we leave, Ira commands, Yasmin and Zarika, please follow my sister to the airplane and remember what I told you before. I giggle slightly. I must find out what Ira told the girls to make them behave so well. I'm holding Alexei's hand and say, Alexei, these two girls are the adopted sisters of a good friend of ours. Neither of them speak English, however, they both speak Russian. I squeeze his hand twice and continue, you must be careful around both of them. He smiles at me, squeezes my hand twice and says, yes, my sister, I understand. And I truly believe he somehow understands. At least he understands enough for right now. I call to Ira. I will send the flight crew out to help you move the gold. Present Ira at the plane. It was heaven to see and be with my sister again and my brother. It still seems foreign to me that we have a brother. I can tell that Mira loves him and has already started bonding with him. But Mira is the maternal one, and that will be easier for her. It will be harder and take longer for me. But he is the last gift Mama gave us. I make sure to secure the special package I took from the eugenics laboratory. It will survive the trip, however, I will need to almost immediately find a new storage facility for it. It was a shame Mira was not with us on the truck. With Ms. Morgan being disabled, it would have been a perfect time to inseminate both of them. No, on second thought, that would not be wise. Since this is the only viable male procreation component for Mr. Blaine, the only sure success will be if fertilization occurs in a petri dish. This will take some serious planning and deception. I open up one of the boxes of gold, pull out 3 bars and smile. These will come in handy. The flight crew finally shows up and offers, we hear you have some boxes to load on the jet. I smile, hand a gold bar to each of them and explain, these are a small token of our appreciation. We need to load the rest of the boxes of gold on the plane as soon as possible, then leave. The pilot looks at the boxes, hefts the bar in his hand and asks, do you know the total weight of the gold? I give him the weight, and watch as he does the calculations in his head. He states, "We are going to need to jettison some weight." I smile and answer, "Leave anything and everything you need to. With this gold, we can replace whatever we leave behind." I watch as the flight crew starts loading the gold and unloading the plane. It is a race against time because sooner or later we will be discovered. I can only hope we will win this race. Present, Stacy, Angelina, on the road. Boring. I complain to Paolo. This trip has turned into one boring time. Unfortunately, he doesn't hear me because it's my watch and his turn to sleep. How many days are we going to keep watching this murder? Shit. I'm convinced this is all a waste of time, but Paolo finally had me talk to Manuel. He is an Aldeo simple and doesn't have the brains to walk and chew gum at the same time, let alone do anything terrible to a busload of people. At least I'm not afraid of him anymore. However, he is still revolting and I hate the way he leers at me. Simple villager. But I hate night watch even more and don't have any energy drinks left. And since I've determined Paolo is wrong this time, I'm going to sleep. It doesn't matter, and besides, what's Paolo going to do to me? Present, Bin, on the road. What is going on? The bus lurches like crazy and makes a terrible noise as it slows to a stop. I look over and Stacy is lying unconscious on the floor, and the passengers are yelling and screaming like a pack of idiots. Why the hell didn't she wake me up? Manuel stands up, starts to wave a pistol and shouts at the passengers. This bus is now the property of the Mexican Liberation Army. You are all my prisoners. If you resist, I will shoot you. This further infuriates the passengers, and several of them stand up and get ready to leave the bus. He points the pistol at them and commands, "Sit down or I will kill you." Bullshit, he will. I grab the skateboard, run up and beat the hell out of him, splitting his head open like an overripe melon. A little trick I learned in Russia when I watched a bunch of skinheads attack a gang of skaters. Don't screw with a person holding a skateboard since it's an excellent weapon. From his seat I can see out the windshield, and we are in deep shit. There are cars blocking the road and armed men are approaching the disabled bus. I run back to my seat and try to rouse Stacy, but she has a gash on her head and is out like a light. I know those in this bus are sitting ducks, and if I start firing, the whole bus will be riddled with bullets, and we all will die. Many people falsely believe that cars or buses offer some protection from gunfire, but that's a fallacy. The AKs the banditos are holding will penetrate this bus like a hot knife through butter. I can't get myself, an unconscious Stacy, and our gear all off the bus. So I make a command decision. If I can get off this bus with my gear, then I have a good chance of rescuing at least Stacy and probably the others. I rummage through Stacy's pack, find the item I am looking for, combine it with some ketchup packets, write her a quick note, and hopefully take care of things for her. Then I grab my rifle, my pack, pop open the emergency exit, and bail out of the bus death trap. The minute my feet hit the ground, I take off running, and the SOBs who are capturing the bus start yelling and firing at me. I follow my instinct and head for higher ground as rounds dance around my feet. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.